Good evening and welcome to the Whiskey Lover Society with me, Gert Retief, and tonight we are looking at the Octomore 8.1. Now, this will be my second Octomore. The previous was the 6.1, and I must also tell you, I am not a big fan of the peated or the smoked whiskies, but in the last 6-7 months I started off with some of the ones that's not so heavily peated, some with a little bit of a sherry influence. So I've gradually worked my way up to the PPM levels, and I must admit I'm kinda enjoying it now. So tonight the Octomore 8.1, and it is of course a single malt. It is from the Brochladi distillery. It is a distillery bottling. This one is a 2008 vintage. It was bottled in 2017. It is 8-year-old, and the cask maturation is first full American oak cask. They made 42,000 bottles. Cask strength at 59.3% ABV, and natural color, non-chill filtered. So they are ticking all the boxes and making all the whiskey snobs, not me, but all the whiskey snobs, quite happy by ticking all the boxes. So quite looking forward to this one. Also quite strange, and I think the more smoky whiskies or peated whiskies I try, the less I smell the peat, and some of the low ppms, the less than 40 ppm whiskies, I struggle now to pick up the peated smells. Not sure if it's got to do with the little disease that I had a couple of months ago, but after that it seems that I handle the peated whiskey so much better. Hopefully it stays that way, because I really enjoy them. The Talisker over here at the back, the Talisker 8-year-old, oh my word, it is absolutely fantastic. The special releases from Talisker, absolutely fantastic. The 2019 previous video that I did, I will also put a link if I remember. Go look at it if you can find a bottle like that. Wow, absolutely fantastic. But of course we're talking about the Octomore 8.1, and I was a little bit surprised. Well, color wise, the color is quite nice. It's not very dark. It's 8 years old, first of all bourbon cask, so I did maybe expect a little bit more color to it, but I think this is perfect. It does show it is an 8-year-old, and it does show actually quite a nice little golden color on it. Let me also know, I got a new microphone, so let me know what you think. Is it sound better? Is it sound worse? I don't know. This is the first time that I'm gonna have it over here, just to try to improve the recordings as well. But anyway, on the whiskey, like the color, a little bit of a legs forming, quite slow legs, all over the place, thin legs, and a little bit of a droplets forming at the top. Not a very oily one from my glass, but of course it can differ from glass to glass, but I do like the color on it. So on the taste, that is nice, you know. But also when you pour it, I've also realized, pour it, give it a little bit of time. Not so much on the 8 years, so maybe I gave this one about 15 minutes ago, but when I did pour it the first time, that initial hit of that 167 ppm, the parts per million, on the phenols was quite strong. If you do give it a little bit of time in a glass, you get past that peated smoky aromas coming out, and you get that lovely sweetness in the back, a little bit of a citrus note coming in. There's a little bit of an oaky, dusty note for me, and Oh, but it's nice. It is a really lightness that I do like. There's also a little bit of a vanilla now coming out, and I get a little bit of a fruity note as well. Not just that citrus, maybe going into a little bit of a peachy note. A light peach or light apricot note coming out. Oh, that is, every time I go back, it's a little bit different. And a little bit of a caramel also at the end. So, not really complicated. But it is just inviting. It's sweet. It's got that fruity elements in it. That caramels, the vanilla note coming in. A hint of a citrus note. But it is just lovely. But of course we need to taste it as well. So cheers. Well, almost forgot. I think that was a little bit too big of a sip. High ABV. You immediately feel it. You get that burst of the alcohol. It is just explodes in the mouth, and there's a quick evaporation and a hotness that appears, and then immediately you are hit with a fantastic light sweetness, even a little bit of a chocolatey note coming out, a little bit of a caramel note coming out, a hint of oak. Now, a very small hint of oak. Let me just want to make sure. Sometimes, for me, the oak builds up a little bit. Every time you go back, you get a little bit of a more bitter note coming out when I talk about oak. So just give it one more try and just remember to take that smaller sip. Absolutely fantastic. All those lovely vanillas coming out. There's a little bit of a creamy note forming. A little bit reminds me a little bit of a vanilla ice cream, but you add some whiskey to it. That little creaminess. I think you call it a Don Pedro. This is lovely. Now, you have a couple of options. Well, you can add some ice to it. And I think I'm going to also make a small little video on the influences of the different, maybe ice, water, and neat. In this one, for me, especially in winter time, I will definitely not add water to this one. Small sips, this one can last you an hour. Just take a sip every now and again, just to cover your mouth and just enjoy the whiskey. For me, price-wise, well, I haven't looked at the price for the bottle. I will also do some research, put a link in the description on how much it's going to cost for this one, but I bet you it's not going to be cheap. So keep that in mind. So you don't really want to ruin it by putting ice in it, putting too much water in it, but at least you have that possibility to add water a little bit at a time until you find your comfort zone on how much water you want in your whiskey. You can't do that with that normal 40% ABV. A little bit perfumey note coming out now. Ooh, that's really giving a lot. But on the taste, fantastic. On the nose, absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to this one. There's quite a lot in the glass. I think it will be about 40 milliliters. Quite a generous dram. I do come into small little sample bottles that I buy online. Of course, as you can imagine, there's no way possible for me to keep on full bottles just to do one review. I've got about 45 bottles that I just opened up to a review. And so it becoming quite an expensive hobby of mine. And so sometimes, if I can, I buy a sample bottle. I know it's not maybe the best way to do a sampling or review, but of course we need to keep in mind the budget as well. And of course, I also have some people sending me some samples to do reviews. I really appreciate that. And of course, if you have a strange whiskey or whiskey that you would like to see me review, and you have a bottle and you would like to send me one bottle for a review, feel free. In the description or in the bio page or about page, you will find my email address. Contact me. I also am on Instagram, Whiskey Lover Society. You can contact me with a direct message there and we can engage, and maybe if it's possible, especially today with the borders, sometimes it's not always possible to send samples, but feel free to come and make some suggestions, even in the comment here, or send me a direct message if you want to engage with some samples in the future. So thank you for listening on that little one. So oh, this is nice. And the strange thing, 167 ppm, you would be under the impression that it's going to be so peated that you cannot smell anything else. Trust me on this one, I'm not that big peat fan, but this one, it does not even remotely smell like that 167 ppm. And also, it does not have that huge medicinal smoke to it, that hospital TCP. Wow, it is just fantastic. I'm sorry, but really, this is absolutely nice. I hate that hospital smell. I spent too much time in hospital some years ago, so that iodine, I'm not a big fan of it. But once you get a little past that, the nose of it and that peatedness of it, absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to add a little bit of water, not really measuring it. This can take a lot, so I'm just going to add maybe 1 teaspoon of water just to see the effect. And as you can see, yeah, maybe a little bit more than 1 teaspoon of water. Give it a unhealthy shaky. Oh, absolutely. So with that little bit of water, and I would encourage you, a little bit of room temperature water is always the best idea. It's also a good idea to use a little bit of a measure. I don't have one here and I forgot to bring the spoon, but sometimes I will just use a teaspoon, and that's about 5 milliliters. But I also see some fancy people's got a little bit of a glass pipette that you can exactly draw drop by drop. I'm not that sophisticated yet, so maybe I will also invest in something like that. I did invest now in a nice microphone. So maybe the next thing is a camera. I'm still using an old iPhone. So that big sponsor's waiting for somebody. I'm willing to try your best equipment to make my videos. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. But with the water, it does tone down the alcohol just a little bit. There's definitely more sweetness coming out. It feels like it did tone down the smoke level for me as well. But of course, I think it can also be that I'm getting climatized to the smell of the smoke, and it does become a little bit more sweeter for me. A little bit more caramel sweetness coming out, maybe with a hint of a light chocolate. Ooh, that is really nice. On the water, I can definitely add some more water. So the ABV seems quite high still. If I would have to guess, maybe 48 to 50% ABV. So that little bit of water did not do much on the taste wise with regards to the alcohol, but it feels a little bit sweeter. Absolutely no oak coming in, so there's no bitter notes coming in. This is absolutely my type of whiskey. Just give it one more try. This is definitely a winter one. I can still feel that warm, almost a little bit of a chilly feeling in your mouth from the alcohol. And as soon as that's gone, it slows down into a sweetness, a little caramel, a little bit of a vanilla note, and it just lingers there, that sweetness. No bitter note ending, no espresso note, no dark chocolate notes, just a lovely sweetness that keep on staying in the mouth. Quite a long finish for me. Absolutely fantastic. Not going to add more water to this one. And the reason also, I think that is now perfect for me. Most people will also add maybe 1 or 2 teaspoons extra, but for me, I do not want to ruin a really nice whiskey by adding too much water. And for me, especially if you spend a lot of money, find your perfect level of water to whiskey ratio and then enjoy it like that. If you want to put ice in it, of course you can add ice, but that is for another video, which I find quite fascinating to do a little bit of a comparison with water, ice and neat to see what the effects is going to be, and maybe to go look at the science behind what we are experiencing, why things are happening like that. So maybe for the next video. And just a quick reminder, I do have a Patreon page, and all proceeds from the Patreon page will go towards children in South Africa. We have 75 children that we are looking after, something that my wife and I have started almost 7 years ago, to sponsoring these children. I have some colleagues and friends that are helping every month. So if you feel the need to do a donation towards these children, please use the Patreon account. I also have a PayPal, and of course if you want to contact me with regards to donations via PayPal, just know 100% of that money will go towards the children. There's no administration fee or any nonsense. We take that money and we buy them food every month. On the 20th we send all the money, so feel free if you want to do. If you don't have the capabilities to donate towards the children, of course you can just click the subscribe button, and once we have reached the 1,000 subscribers, then I can take that ad revenue from YouTube as well, and we will send 100% of that money also towards the children. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for all the comments. Thank you for all the positive comments and the interaction with all the subscribers, and I see you next time. Cheers.